This is the Growlers Nation Podcast, the official podcast of the Newfoundland Growlers. And now, here's your host, Growlers play-by-play voice, Chris Ballard.
Welcome back to the Growlers Nation Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us here today and for joining us for our first two episodes. James Melindy and Todd Skirving, excellent guests for the first two, and we are rolling right into episode 3 with another very special guest, a huge part of the province's first ever professional hockey championship, my friend and yours, Mr. Giorgio Estephan. Gio, thank you very much for jumping on here with us for episode 3.
Anytime, Bells.
I'm sure that's not true, given how much of your time I'm going to take up today. First and foremost, obviously, we're recording this just 2 days before teeing off a brand new season and hanging a banner here at Mile One Center. Just real quick, kind of sum up preseason training camp in the last few weeks. You played a lot of hockey. You guys must be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the season and kind of come out of the summer mode is kind of just a big anticipation time to come when it comes to season opener. So, you go through all the structure and all that stuff in the beginning of the year, which obviously since I'm returning and a bunch of guys are returning, it's kind of more similar, same stuff as last year. But that kind of whole time where we're kind of everything leads up to opening night, and I think that's kind of where our juice comes from, and training camp stuff like that is waiting for the first game. So it's coming up here soon. I think we're ready.
No kidding. How was, I know you were here just feels like a couple days ago for Leaf Camp. How was that experience for you?
It was good. I mean, same as kind of last year kind of situation. It was nice to kind of come back to St. John's and be here and show everyone around a little bit, kind of considering I had been here last year. And it was a good turnout from a lot of the crowd, and I thought it was really exciting to kind of see a lot of Growlers jerseys and hats and all that stuff.
No kidding. Have you seen the new St. John's Maple Leafs Growlers jersey you guys will be wearing?
I think I took a little look at it before, but I can't wait to be able to don that for sure.
Yeah, the fans are going to be crazy for those ones, man. Get excited for that night for sure. Yeah, opening night in particular here on Friday. You got to be fired up to be able to see that banner go up after everything that went down last season. Is that something that motivates, or are you actually excited to see it go up and get it all underway? Kind of a silly question, but I know I'm fired up.
For sure. I'd won one 2 years ago, and I never got to see that banner get raised. So I think
that's right.
Yeah, this one will be pretty cool because I never got to see that, and never got to be presented my ring and stuff like that. So I think this one's a little extra special for sure.
No kidding. I never thought of that. And one more question for you before we open it up to our Growlers Nation Q&A. We have a lot of great questions coming up for you. I will spoil the party and tell you that you've played maybe the most hockey of anyone I can think of over the course of the last 2, maybe even 3 years. I've crunched the numbers, not including preseason. You played 95 games with us and the Marlies last year. The year before with Lethbridge and Swift Current in the dub, 95 games there. And so obviously that doesn't include preseason or the All-Star game that you played here with us last year. Yeah. That's 190 games of hockey over the course of the last 2 seasons. I don't know how many are pushing 200 like you. I guess what my question is, are you tired? How do you feel at this time of year? You've just gone through 3 training camps. You played 10,000 games in the last 2 years. Has that taken any kind of toll on you, or are you just ready to go?
I think I'm ready to go. I think any time in the summer, when you have a shortened summer, I think rest is definitely really important. So I think we only had about 2 months till a little bit to kind of get ready and all that stuff, and I think I took about half of that off. So
good.
Playing that amount of games, and I mean coming here and playing the Raiders and the East Coast League and playoffs with 3 lines and stuff like that it's definitely it definitely wears and tears on you, but taking the time off and all that stuff I think is part of the game, and it's part of being a smart professional, knowing when to go hard and be ready, and when to kind of take it off and make sure you get your rest. So I think even going throughout the season and stuff like that, you kind of pick your battles and pick your spots. And as a professional and stuff like that, you make it to the finals and treat your body as well as you can. But making it back to the season here, I think I'm ready to go, and I definitely got my rest.
No kidding. I guess you did. And I know you had a nice restful day with the Kelly Cup. Talk a bit about your day with Mr. Kelly's prize there. You sent back some pretty cool photos. Looks like you and your family had an awesome day.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get the cup kind of a little bit earlier in the day, so that I spent the time with my family and kind of showed them the cup. And I took the cup to my power skating coach's
Awesome.
group and stuff like that. There was a bunch of little kids out there, and we got to take a big picture. And I used to coach with them in the power skating back in the day, so it meant a lot to them. And I think it was kind of just cool to be out there and bring one back, show all the kids, 30, 40 kids on the ice. It was
That's awesome.
yeah, pretty cool. And I got a bunch of my friends over for the nighttime and had a fire. And yeah, it was really it was an eventful day for sure.
Did you eat anything out of it? Did you pull a Phil
God.
Kessel and fill it with hot dogs
Yeah.
or? Yeah?
Oh yeah, I went to A&W and I got a burger, and then I went to McDonald's, got some nuggets, and threw them all in there and sent it to the boys after. And yeah, it was definitely
No kidding.
yeah. I'm not. You only get.
You don't have to shy away from that. That's awesome.
You only get it
yeah.
once in a while, so I mean, I'm gonna do it.
Hey,
not.
I took it down to Shamrock and filled it with fries, dressing, and gravy, and a 2-piece fish and chips on Friday. So I
go.
definitely I hear you there. We'll roll right into our Growlers Nation fan Q&A just because we have so many questions to bring your way here today. And we are going to kick it off with a question from Steph Conway asking, a great question. How did it feel scoring the winning goal that brought the first ever championship to Newfoundland and Labrador? So this is our segue to just talk about everything that was last season. We'll ask the most obvious question first. Game 6, 2 goals. What do you remember about Game 6 in the finals in particular there? Like, what jumps to mind when I ask you now to think back on it?
The last seconds counting down.
The last longest seconds of your life.
Yeah, I mean, the game kind of coming close. And thinking about the whole game, I missed an unbelievable chance in the first period. That
Could have had 3.
I could have had 3, but you never know. It could have changed the tide of the game. We had an early power play, and I could have got an early goal, but. We were pushing, and I think my line particularly was buzzing pretty well. We had been moving our feet quite a bit throughout playoffs, and kind of been hard to stop us for the first little bit. And the 3-on-2 where I got my first goal, where Kess made a good play across the ice, was an unbelievable pass. And I think I just got the chance to be able to have a good shot, kind of put it inside the post on the left side. And I was definitely excited to kind of come out of that game. But
No kidding.
yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good time. I think everyone kind of knew coming out of the game before that we had a good chance to do it here on home ice. And I think anytime you're playing us at home in front of our fans, and how packed it was, and all the towels running around, I think it was definitely exciting. Gives you goosebumps, and having that home ice advantage is definitely a big thing for you coming playoff time.
But come on, have you be selfish here for a moment? 2 goals in Game 6 to bring this province its first championship. Did you really get a sense of how important that was to people, and at what moment?
Yeah, I mean, coming into, like I said, I missed that chance earlier in the first period. I've obviously played a lot of games in my life where I know how I'm feeling at the time, and after the first period, boys were kind of grilling me a little bit, just in a fun way of how easy it could have been. But I mean, it was all in fun. But I kind of knew in the back of my mind that the puck was bouncing the right way for me, and that I was getting on my tape all the time, and that I knew I was gonna have a good game. And after I kind of got that first one, our line was able to get another a chance, and I got an assist on the goal. And I think our line was playing really well, kind of moving the puck and moving our feet. And when your line gets a little jammed, you can kind of feel it. And our line is playing with a good amount of swagger, where we're playing fast and moving the puck and in the offensive zone the whole time. I think definitely helped me feed, and makes your legs a little bit lighter, makes you feel a little extra. So when Jard chipped that puck up to me on the 4-on-4, I definitely had a little bit of life. And then Huddy was flying up the middle, so I was kind of waiting for him to take the middle so that we could try and cross him up and get a kind of a good angle so that I could get a good shot off on net. And With Huddy's drive, I think I kind of confused him a little bit, where I got a little extra time and space, and
It's so much room.
yeah, I had a lot of room to kind of rip it. I had a good spot, and I'd had that shot quite a few times in my life, so I think all that preparation.
You knew what you were
like
doing with
yeah,
that
I was
one.
putting it right under the bar.
You're darn right you did. And not that this matters, but I think a few fans got into a few bidding wars for your pucks.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Did you notice that?
Oh,
I think the game-winning puck, the fourth goal of the game and your second of the game, went for like over $400 US.
I think. Oh yeah, US. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 10,000 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, my dad. My dad was keeping up on tabs with that too, because he's asking me if I wanted it. But I mean,
yes, but do I want to spend $5 on
Yeah.
on it? Probably not.
no, I had a lot of opportunities to kind of take some of my stuff from
For
that
sure.
game and stuff like that, and it was definitely a really memento kind of time for everyone. So I think having someone get that puck and
Oh, that's
making their
awesome.
day and stuff like that would have been pretty cool. So yeah, I thought I'd let it pass and let
Yeah,
someone enjoy
no
it.
kidding. No, my pockets aren't deep enough for that one, that's for sure. So that was a question from Steph Conway, so thank you very much for that one. We're going to jump in. We have so many kind of questions from all over the place here. I'm going to start with what's hopefully an easy one. So Michael Windsor is asking, Tim's Coffee or McDonald's Coffee? McDonald's Coffee's come a long way in the last little bit. That's from my own personal experience. You much of a coffee drinker?
Not at all.
Really?
Maybe a little bit of caffeine and like stuff like French vanilla and stuff. I'm more of a sugary kind of person, so a little half French vanilla, half hot chocolate. But other than that, I don't really tend to coffee overly. Which
Okay.
is, I know extremely rare, but yeah, I just never kind of got a huge hankering for it.
Huh. So I guess this question, you can't even really answer it, whether it's coffee from one or the other. If you're getting a French vanilla or something, that's a Tim Hortons product. That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
it is. So Tim Hortons French vanilla hot chocolate, I would go with.
What
for sure.
size? I'm an extra large double man, but something tells me that's way too much sugar for you to be
Oh,
consuming.
way too much. Yeah, medium's a lot. So
There we go.
yeah, we'll
So if
dial it
anyone
down
wants
a
to
little
buy
bit.
Gio a nice hot beverage, it'll be a medium.
Half French vanilla, half hot chocolate, and
Done.
in the winter, white hot chocolate.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's an after Christmas treat.
Extra
I think
sweet though.
it is. That you
real
might have to
sweet.
bring it down to a small for that
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
So there you go. Not a coffee man, but the Timmy's sweet drinks. We're a big fan.
Yeah.
Ashton Petton is asking, what is your prediction of the new Growlers team compared to the first-gen team in 2018-19? I don't think it's fair for you to give any kind of prediction, but maybe you can speak to maybe comparing the group that's going to be out there on opening night to last season. I think this group is as talented, if not more, than last season, but how do you see it down in the room?
I think similarly to last year, definitely we had a lot of young guys, a lot of rookies in our room, and I'm one of the guys that kind of moved up in my second year now, and with all the rookies and stuff like that, it's definitely a little bit of a a time period where you're kind of converting into pro hockey, and you kind of just got to get your feet under you and make sure that you're playing hard and you're playing well, and the game kind of comes to you a little bit quicker as the games roll by. So I think that's kind of the biggest similarity we have, is how young we are as a team, how fast we are as a team, but all the stuff about battling physicality of the league and battling all the rigors of three lines and all that stuff, kind of the guys haven't seen that quite yet. So
True.
coming into the first little bit with all the speed and stuff that we have, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a time period for bodies to get used to it. But I think, like going into last year, we kind of caught wind of it first and got ready to battle a little bit more every night. Your wind kind of gets a little bit better as the season rolls on.
Right.
So I think they'll have a good adjustment period.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That's a great answer. And do you get the sense that there's going to be a big target on the Growlers back this season? I know there kind of was last year. There were shirts to that effect. I think this year one can only assume the league and the rest of our opponents can't be too happy with the fact that the new guys on the block are looking as strong as they did when they won the championship in their inaugural season. Do you get a sense of that, or how do you overcome what's surely going to be a bit of a target on your back?
I think anytime that you're coming into a season, a lot of it kind of is indicative of what happened last year.
Of course.
Franchises and teams are known kind of as better teams, or maybe teams that aren't as strong. I think last year we kind of caught people by surprise in the early beginning, and they hadn't seen us. They don't know what we present, what kind of play style we have. So as the season wore on, teams figured out how to play against us. And I mean, like we won, so I think anytime that you're a winning team, teams want to beat you. You have that mentality of beating the best. Everyone wants to beat the best and be the best, and we were the best last year. And I think we definitely got a good shot at being that team again. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work to beat us. So I think that's kind of why we'll have a target on our back for sure.
No, I think you're right. I cannot wait to get the season started. I've been talking about it last June for far too long. It's time to make some new history here. I'm looking forward to it. A couple of similar questions here from one Jillian Hillier and one Morgan Stacy from the Facebook group. What do you like most about Newfoundland, and how happy are you to be spending another year here in Newfoundland with the Growlers? I guess just speak, maybe to your first Newfoundland experience here, when you, first got off the flight and you're on a team with a handful of Newfs, first coming here this time last year. I know that's night and day compared to what you think of the place now, but kind of sum up your first reactions, of the great province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. Driving down, first thing we did is we got off the plane and we went right to the rink. And going right to the rink from the airport, you pass all the houses and you pass, different colored houses, and you see the harbor, and you see the cove, and you can kind of see Signal Hill a little bit.
Yeah,
I know guys were pointing it out. So I think it's definitely it was a really cool experience. I thought, with all the different color houses and stuff like that. I'm a big traveler and stuff like that, so I like kind of unique attributes to cities and stuff like that. And I think that was something that I kind of took a pretty good liking to. And fortunately, my house now is one of those houses. So
no way. So you get the full authentic Newfoundland experience right now.
For sure.
That's awesome. Is there anything you could say you do like most about here?
The food.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
Tell me everything. What's like your favorite OG Newfie food?
Oh, the first day we were here last year, first practice we had as a team, our chef Dwayne made a blackened cod, and it was the best thing.
And Dwayne can cook too. Shout out to Dwayne.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and ever since then I never had fish and chips before, and I had fish and chips.
Stop it.
Yeah, I was never really a big, huge, deep fried kind of person, and I had fish and chips kind of once before, and it wasn't the same. So
oh my God.
The one I had here with the cod obviously was next level, and it was I've had a lot of good meals here, and I'm a huge food fan. So
awesome, happy to hear that. And this I think is not a silly question. It's a great question, but should be a silly answer. How excited are you to be back here for another year? Obviously, everything the way that the city was abuzz last year, and having that buzz back, ready to kick off another year. I mean, you've got to be pumped to be here again, eh?
Yeah, I mean, raising a banner the first night, it's definitely something that's really exciting, and that I'm really looking forward to. It's a beautiful city, and even if I wasn't playing here, I'd definitely be visiting St. John's again in my life. It's really good place. It's far away from home, but I would always take kind of the travel to kind of come out here and see the city, see the people. I think it's definitely got a different culture, and like I said, as a guy that likes to travel and stuff like that, kind of the unique attributes of the city are what kind of propel me to want to come back and stuff like that. So it's definitely a unique city, and I'm definitely happy to be back.
Absolutely. There is a travel-related question. I'm going to save it because we're going back. Rod Z is asking the best fish and chips on the Avalon. I can't imagine you've gotten too far outside St. John's to try fish and chips, but we'll give a proper shout-out here to wherever you're about to say. But have you where do you seem to like the fish and chips now that you're a fish and chip expert?
I've only had it twice, but I went to Duke of Duckworth.
Oh, yeah, the Duke, legendary fish and chips.
We'd sit in there and watch football on Sundays, and I think that's definitely been the best place I've had, and I think all the boys kind of go there and sit around, watch some football, and eat some fish and chips, and it's definitely got a good atmosphere in there. And I think
the Duke's an institution.
Yeah, it's really good. So
hard to say no to the Duke of Duckworth. Thank you very much.
2 pieces, not one.
2 pieces. Now, what's your take on fries, dressing, and gravy? I assume you know what that is now, and I don't have to explain it to you.
I never order it.
Okay.
Because every time I eat it, I can barely make it to the fries because I get
because
so
the fish
full.
is just so good.
Oh, I start with the fish, and once the fish is
have
gone,
to start with the fish.
Yeah, so 2 pieces for sure.
Absolutely. We'll do a little food tour of St. John's. We'll try another few options maybe.
Perfect.
Done. So Gio's just volunteered for that content piece there. Stephen Cordell asked, what place do you like to visit during time off? You mentioned you really like to travel. So where are some places that where you've liked to travel so far?
So now that I'm kind of a little bit older and
Yeah.
a little bit more independent, I think I've been starting to travel a little bit more. And I've never been out in North America, so the first time this past year after we won, I went to Barcelona, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I was really excited to go and to kind of just see, like I said, the new cultures and all the the buildings that they have there with all the architecture and all that stuff. It was really
it's a beautiful city.
Beautiful city, and I like being by the water and the beach, so definitely
not
helps.
A bad spot to land. Did you go anywhere else while you were over there, or did you just stay in Barcelona?
Well, I took 3 trips. I just stayed in Barcelona. I only did it for about a week because my lazy period of a month was
very short.
Very
you want to take
short.
Advantage of that lazy period.
Yeah, so I ended up going to Vegas a little bit after that with my family. Just kind of spent a little bit of time with my family. I hadn't really seen very much, and
for sure,
sit by the pool and relax. And then I went with my girlfriend to Kelowna. So
nice.
3 nice little
back
trips
to the Okanagan.
Yeah, right by the beach and get in the water on the boat and stuff like that. So it's definitely being on the boat in the summer is something that I really like to do.
Awesome. So thank you very much for that question, Mr. Stephen Cordell. We will move on. We're gonna throw in a few questions. Turns out a few of our players are members of the Growlers Nation Facebook group, and a few of them have responded to my call for questions for you. Brady Ferguson asks, who is your favorite player on the Growlers? Answer this however you will. You know Fergie better than I do. You can answer that question however you see fit, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my favorite player's got to be my roommate, Todd. He's kind of a beauty. There's no other way to put it.
My next question comes from Todd Skirving asking, who is your favorite roommate?
I mean, being my roomie on the road, it's got to be Fergie, I think.
Ooh, what? I did not expect that. I thought that was I was throwing you a softball.
No, I know, but I mean, if I gave Todd the shuttle before, I got to give it to Ferg.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't want to get in the middle of any controversy here,
yeah,
but that sounds like there's something.
Sure.
Yep. No, definitely. All right, I'm going to move immediately away from that. Evan Burgess is asking, who pulls the most pranks on the Growlers? I think a lot of people really enjoyed hearing James Melindy, our captain, talk about some pranks in episode 1. Who would you say is the biggest prankster from the group down in the room here now?
Definitely him, because no one's going to mess with him.
That's a fact.
Yeah, no one's messing with Meller, and he's pretty good at keeping a straight face and playing dumb with that kind of stuff. And I'd probably just cave and stuff like that,
and just own up to it.
Yeah, he's pretty good. There was a couple of jokes last year that got pulled on Marcus that he was just out to lunch. So.
Anything you can share?
No, maybe not.
That's fair. I'll give you the benefit. I'm not here to
good.
get you in any more trouble.
No, we're good.
We'll save some for another episode perhaps. So thank you, Evan Burgess, for that one. And I think he actually had another question here. Who's the best golfer on the team? Do you have any inside? Are you guys golfers? Do you get a chance to golf together? I think during camp and stuff sometimes, right?
I think I golfed a couple of times in camp this year, but there's been a lot of talk about Newsy's golf game.
Really?
I've never played with him. I've heard he's good from guys that have played with him, but I've never played with him, so I'm going to say him on...
Okay, just on reputation alone from
Yeah,
Evan
we talk
Newbold.
about golf a lot, too, so, I mean, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, so, I mean, anyone that's kind of got the stature that he does about talking about it, I think I'll trust him.
Okay, now I'm going to flip that question around, too. Do you know who would be the worst golfer on the team?
I played with him in training camp this year, and I know he's been working on his game quite a bit, but I don't think Marcus is that great.
Oh, no.
I don't know. He worked on his game a little bit, so I don't know, but hopefully he works on it again next summer.
Ooh, that's a little bit of shade. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So thank you very much, Evan Burgess, for that question as well. We'll move on to a question from Justin Brennan asking a really good question. Saying, you won a championship with Swift Current. the year before turning pro, and then you won, obviously, with the Growlers last season. What similarities or differences did you see between those two teams? Not, I'm sure, in terms of personnel, but just in terms of that X factor maybe that a team has to have to get to that level. What similarities or differences did you maybe pick up on between those two different championship wins?
I'd probably say there's two things that kind of stand out thinking about it now. One is probably we had really dynamic offenses.
Both teams.
Yeah, both teams. We had really a lot of my first time with Swift Current, we had a line with three of them at 100 points. And,
all three guys had 100 points?
100 points, yeah. And, yeah, we had three lines that were extremely deep that scored a lot of goals in playoffs. And but at the same time, getting that many goals, we didn't give up very much. So being good defensively, I can't remember what series it was last year. I think Gertz had how many shutouts?
Oh, that was the Florida series,
yeah,
and he had 3.
Yeah, which is outrageous in playoffs. So, I mean, anytime that, you have a high-powered offense with a lot of skill and you know that you can score goals on any given night, you kind of look at all the coaches and the teams in the NHL that talk about having good offenses. They always want to, subsidize it with good defense and making sure that they, keep the puck out of their own net and make sure that the only way you can really score goals is to be out of your zone. So that's definitely one big similarity between both teams that I played on. Another one I'd say is definitely just being, a tight-knit group. Last year in playoffs and the year before when I was in playoffs, I think guys were always going out together, having, lunch or dinner or whatever it is, just on any given night. Inviting the guys over and cook a couple steaks together, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think having a close-knit group is definitely something that, propels your team a little bit farther than a team that's kind of just on their own. And, I wouldn't say more in like teams that are more individualized don't win, but
right.
Blocking that shot at the last moment or making a big hit or making a big play when you're that much closer to the guy, I think it definitely propels you a little bit farther. So I think that's definitely two similarities throughout the teams that I can nab right off the top of my head.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you very much for that question, Justin Brennan. We'll move on to one from Devin James Renouf asking, at what age did you start playing hockey, and when did you realize you wanted to try and make a career of it?
Oh, God, I started, I don't know, 2-3. I can't even remember back that long
that
ago.
Young, eh?
Yeah, 2-3. I think my mom put me in a pair of skates just to get me to calm down. And yeah, it took me to the West Edmonton Mall and got me some of
That's where you first skated, was the West Edmonton Mall.
Yeah, 'cause my family knew nothing about hockey at all. Like, my mom was, my family's Lebanese, so from
Right.
the States, and wasn't a big hockey town where she's from. And my dad and my entire family's always been in soccer, so just to kind of get me to calm down when I was really young. She was taking care of my little brother at the same time, so she took me to West Ed and got me a plastic pair of skates and just started skating circles around the rink. And yeah, apparently there was no break-in period for me or anything, which is surprising to hear. But yeah, I started probably around that age, and I definitely grew a little bit earlier than most kids.
Okay.
So I think I definitely had a little bit of an edge on when I was playing younger. So I think that's definitely one big attribute that helped propel me to kind of figure out that I wanted to play hockey, and having successful years when I was younger and championships and stuff like that was definitely something that made me take a little bit more of a liking to the game, I'd say.
I think so. So what were you, like a 6 foot tall, like 7-year-old or something?
No, but I was chubby, so I definitely had a lot of weight and wasn't getting knocked off the puck. And
I like
very
that.
much had a shot. That's about
a
it.
puck protection beast with a cannon.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was thick for sure.
So thank you very much for that question as well, Devin James Renouf. We'll move on to another one here that I'm excited to hear the answer to. Daryl O'Leary asks, PlayStation or Xbox, and what might you be playing right now?
Well, I mean, you gotta play Xbox. All my friends got Xbox. Anyone I ever played with played Xbox, so I think the consensus got to be Xbox.
Wow. Okay, that's a hot take in my house, but carry on.
Yeah.
More of a PS guy
I know
myself.
there's a lot of PlayStations out there, but I mean, Now that you can play together, it doesn't really matter.
Is that a thing now?
On Fortnite, you can play together, which I play.
I was told that was your go-to game. That's your current obsession, I understand. Aside from your work on the ice, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've always been a gamer from a young age, so I don't think it's ever faded. I was young Call of Duty, and I've been playing Fortnite a couple of years, and
okay.
Yeah, I don't.
What's the appeal of Fortnite? I've played it like once, and some 6-year-old destroyed me, and I thought that was the end of that. Yeah. What's the appeal here? Sell me on Fortnite.
I don't know. I played Call of Duty growing up a lot throughout my life, and you never had been able, like, you go around and shoot people and stuff like that. But I think the biggest attribute with Fortnite is kind of just being able to play defense and like build and all that stuff. Okay. It takes a lot more than just hoping that you kill the guy or you die or whatever. I was never a big sports games kind of guy. Okay. I played a little bit of NHL, but I was never good at Madden. I was never good at FIFA.
FIFA's too slow.
Yeah, I never really took a big liking to it, but I don't know. I think Fortnite you kind of can build, and it takes a little bit more skill than other games. So I think that's kind of why I like playing it and practicing it and all that stuff. I think it's exciting, and I think there's the best thing about playing, like playing video games is that you kind of get to play with your friends even when you're not around them. So I mean, most days I just throw a text to one of the guys or a couple of guys, and you can play a 4-player squad. And I think that's like playing by yourself is kind of boring. But anytime you can play with your friends and
absolutely,
even one of them, I think it definitely makes it a little bit more entertaining.
So if you got to pick a 4-man squad of only Growlers Fortnite players, who would you pick, and who would you pick last? Maybe.
But he'd be the last in the squad.
Yeah, or like the guy you would try not to pick.
Oh.
Because I remember last year on our squad, I asked a similar question, and it was Darian Plouffe was the answer is the worst player, if I remember correctly. I don't mind throwing any guys.
He's a landslide the best on our team. That's
the best. Okay. Yeah. So maybe I'm just misremembering.
No.
So, okay, so just give me.
Threw him under the bus.
Give me your top 4, you and 3 others. If you get to pick a Growler team, current Growlers.
Well, I'm definitely number 1.
All right, well, that's without question.
Yeah. I play with Johnny quite a bit.
Okay, Garrett Johnston.
Yeah, I've always played with him. We got a lot of wins together. That's for sure. All right. I'm hearing a lot of talk about Mac Hollowell.
Okay.
I hear he's decent. I haven't played with him yet because I just started moving my house and set up my Xbox and everything, so I haven't really gotten the chance to download everyone and play with everybody. But I'm hearing some stuff about him, so I don't know if I could slide him in yet. But
we'll have to test him out first.
We'll have to test him out. Yeah, he's got to go through tryouts or something. I don't know.
One more before we start sewering, guys.
Okay. Wow, this is a tough one, actually. A lot of boys play, so.
That's what I mean. I'm not here to just give you softball questions. This is hard-hitting Growlers Nation podcast level answers.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll give it to. Wow, this sucks, but I'll give it to Fergie just because I want to give Brad's last.
All right, so that obviously. So who would you maybe not want on your team?
I don't know. Pools talks about his game getting a little bit better.
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't. So, I mean, he's got to play a little bit more creative and get himself back up to take Brad's spot, maybe. Ooh. I don't know. But, yeah, there's definitely going to be some tryouts going on for the squad this year, I'd say.
I'm looking forward. You'll have to fill me in. I'll have to revisit this conversation. Do you play anything else, or is this really that disc stays in? Is it even on a disc anymore? Probably not.
No, it's not on a disc. It was a free game that you just download, and that's why Fortnite blew up so much, because it was free. Man.
Well, I know that makes total sense. Free 99, man. It's the best price in town.
Honestly, food tastes better when it's free too.
That was one thing I was also told, because I was down before when I was waiting for you to come up here and record with me today. I asked a few of the guys who were walking by. I'm like, "Hey boys, I got Gio on the podcast. What's the dirt here? What can I get?" I was told, obviously not in season, but you're a bit of a fast food aficionado. I heard
fast food is not. I wouldn't say I'm a fast food aficionado. I'm a food.
Okay, we'll set the record straight.
I'm not like I don't really like going to McDonald's all the time, or
no.
I mean, you can't get me wrong with A&W. I mean, their burgers are
classic.
Lights out.
You an onion rings guy?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
No.
That's my go-to at A&W.
I'm a huge dessert person. Like
yeah.
chocolate, caramel.
Yeah.
If there's people that know me, know that cookies are my thing.
Yeah. So what's like your perfect cookie then?
Just a nice hot chocolate chip cookie. Just plain. It's like, like a plain Krispy Kreme donut. It's always the best thing ever, right?
You're right. Sometimes the essence is in the simplicity.
It is, and a nice. It's got to be hot. Like number one, heat. Chocolate chip chunk, doesn't matter. Cookie is the best ever. When I was in junior, I used to get a regular occurrence of just a fresh batch coming to my door, and it was really nice.
That's a good hookup. We'll have to find you a new cookie guy here in St. John's.
Yeah, at one time I think I had like 8 different batches from 8 different people sitting on my table.
Like at once? Within like a week?
Within like 3 days.
All like homemade cookies that people just brought you? How do I get that?
You just got to tell people you like cookies, I guess. I don't know.
Well, here we go. Giorgio Estephan and Chris Ballard, big cookie fans. Make sure you send some to the press box first. And if there's any left over, I'll send some down. No, I'm not letting you stiff arm me out of that one, Gio. Do you have we'll go back to the video games real quick. Would you say you have give me your top 5 video games of all time?
Oh.
So I'm going to assume Fortnite and Call of Duty because those are the only 2 you've mentioned so far. Is that fair?
But like, can I dissect them into like Call of Duty 1, 2, 5?
If your top 5 are Fortnite and 4 different Call of Duty games, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, number 1 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
It's easily the best game to ever be created. Like easily, the amount of tactical nukes I got in that game was.
I have no idea what language you're speaking, but I'm here for it.
Anyone that knows Modern Warfare 2 would know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'd say number 2 is Fortnite, just because I've never played a game in succession for as long as I have. So I'll give Fortnite because I actually enjoy playing it. 3, I'm going to go way back and talk about, you ever have a PSP back in the day?
I didn't, but I am aware that it existed.
So NHL 07 on PSP was unbelievable. I played that all the time.
I did not expect you to say that.
No, that was
NHL 07.
NHL 07. I think Ovi was on the cover, if I remember. But yeah, it was
I think you're right.
You could just turn like the speed up on people, and guys would just fly around, and games would be like 25 to 20. Like it was.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, it was exciting.
So that's what, 3?
That's 3. Probably back in the day when I played Super Smash Bros.
On
GameCube.
Classic.
I had a lot of systems growing up. That's 4. And I'd say 5. I used to like, with the first Xbox I ever got, I only played the one game for a long, long time. SSX Tricky. I don't know if you remember it.
I do not.
Like if you remember this, like the song by Run DMC.
Yeah.
It's Tricky.
Oh,
they like.
Classic.
That was like the motto of the game. So like every time you were playing, you'd listen to that song, and I just.
Cool.
Yeah, it was sick. Or Tony Hawk. I played a lot of Tony Hawk growing up.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a pretty good gamer here.
Oh, like I said,
my top 5 would be all like N64 games because that's what I grew up on. Do you have any retro games? Any interest?
My dad actually bought me like a mini N64 not too long ago. I haven't played a lot of it, but it's got like 500 games on it.
An N64?
It's like a mini N64.
I gotta give me one of those.
Like 500 games on it or something like that. It's outrageous. But
we'll
Donkey
have to bust
Kong,
that out.
The Legends, Galaga, all that stuff. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Have to get in on that. I think that's all of our Q&A questions here for the day. So thank you to everybody who submitted questions here for Giorgio Estephan. Anything else before we let you go? Anything you want to promote or just, I don't know. I kind of just asked off the cuff here. I don't even know what I'm expecting you to say.
I don't know. Just tell your friends. Everyone come to the game. I think there's nothing that a player enjoys more than playing in front of sold-out crowd or a lot of people in the stands and having a lot of buzz around the team in the city. I think playoffs kind of, is indicative of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And anytime that, there's, a championship on the line or something, the buzz around the city is, lights out. And I think, anytime that you can come out and have a good time and, watch us play and, fill the barn, I think it's definitely a, exciting time. I know I went to a lot of games when I was younger, like junior games and professional games, like American League teams and obviously NHL games and stuff like that. So, yeah, come sell at the barns.
You heard it, Giorgio Estephan. Come sell out the barn. Mile One Center. You can get all your tickets whenever you want them, whatever game, whenever you're listening to this, at mileonecenter.com or call the box office at 576-7657. Giorgio Estephan, thank you, sir, for your time today.
Thank you.
And moving right along, we are going to jump right into this week's Growlerville segment. If you don't recall the first 2 episodes of the Growlerville segment, we shed some light on the great hockey towns and communities around the great province of Newfoundland and Labrador. In episode 1, we spoke with James Melindy about the Goulds and why it rules. And then in episode 2, myself and Todd Skirving, I got to pick Skirvs' brain on what he thought made the city of St. John's a great hockey community and great community in general. And today we're going to bring in another special guest, our very own Trevor Murphy, Senior Vice President of Hockey Operations and alternate governor of your Newfoundland Growlers. And Trevor, I know we could speak to a lot of different communities in this great province, but today we're going to speak about a place that I know that is a home to you and your wonderful family, the great city of Mount Pearl. So I'll tee this off by asking straight up, in your mind, what do you think, what makes Mount Pearl such a great hockey community?
Yeah, so I think, of course, Chris, I grew up in Mount Pearl and played all my minor hockey, played junior hockey in Mount Pearl, and so it certainly holds a special spot in my heart. And just the coaches and the mentors that I had over my minor hockey career, I guess, certainly played a big role in my life moving forward from as a professional, but also a individual. And one of the biggest things, there's a couple of things that really stand out when talking about Mount Pearl and being a hockey city or hockey town, was that we're I think it's almost 45 years now of our minor hockey association being in play, which is quite a run. Now, I think it started in 75 or 76, and it's been a great association in many ways. There's other associations out there that have produced more NHL players or more major junior players. We've had a few come through, but I think for us, it's just the fact that we've given our athletes, I would say, over the years, our coaches, the opportunity to develop as hockey players, but also the chance to develop as people off the ice. And that's something we've really talked about a lot. And, whether it's things like our food drive that we do or different, volunteer celebrations we host throughout the year, it's been something that's very special to us as an association. And, like I say, the game is bigger than the piece that's on the ice. And we've had a lot of success over the years by developing volunteers, by developing, I'll say good athletes, but also better people. So that's something that always stood out to me from our association. And the other thing is just the sense of community that we've had.
Big time.
Going back to when I was going through the system, you had, the hockey moms and hockey dads were phenomenal organizations that were just, again, tremendous volunteers. These were moms and dads. Some didn't even have kids in the game, but they were just tremendous volunteers who helped us out as young people. And, even to today, the Hockey Dads group is still there and it's still a major part of the fundraising initiatives that are a part of Mount Pearl. And just in terms of our volunteer base in general, there's some people that have been around that organization since the start, really, that still have a hand in it in some way. And, we celebrate every year. We started doing a Hall of Fame 3 or 4 years ago to celebrate the past, cool. which was very cool and something that we're very proud of. But so I would say just the fact that, from Mount Pearl's perspective, just the sense of community that we've had and, that sense of volunteerism that's been huge in our community for a long time and certainly a major part of minor hockey in Mount Pearl. But then, like I said, also too, just the history that we started to build with our association over the last, close to 45 years. It's something that's, is truly special, something that we've had some tremendous people come through. And, seeing kind of the future of it coming through right now, it's very exciting to watch and be a part of.
No kidding. No, that's awesome. And I always remember when I was playing my minor hockey, which was definitely not yesterday, there was something special about the crew from Mount Pearl. I myself was a St. John's cap. Don't hold that against me. But I always remember there was always a certain something, I don't know, a special, I don't want to say a level of class or just a level. I think it's what you said earlier about that level of pride that I think was really evident. And even in the old tin can arena there. And some of my earliest hockey memories were eating orange slices in the locker room at the old Smallwood Arena. And even now looking at the Glacier, it's even a place where the Growlers have extended, their reach to go out and play there, or not play there, but practice there on occasion. Yeah. There's lots for every hockey fan at every level in Mount Pearl. That was always my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and it was something that, growing up in Mount Pearl back when it was a town for the most part. It became a city as I kind of get older, but right. it was a small town that had lots of opportunities for young people to grow up. And whether you're into parks and recreation type stuff or into athletics, whatever it was, there was opportunities. And, the old tin can, the number of hours that we spent down there, it was an absolutely unbelievable place to play hockey. It was a great atmosphere, and even going through minor hockey, we had a game against the Russians down there one time in bantam hockey.
What?
Yeah, we actually, there was an international hockey series going on, and they played teams throughout the province. We had a tournament here in the St. John's area. We ended up playing the Russians in the final, beat them in overtime, and the old tin can was rocking down there. It was very cool. And then, playing high school hockey in the old tin can before we moved to the Glacier in my grade 12 year. It was just a very cool place to play. And, the guys who ran the arena, some of them are still working at the Glacier now, and they had such a love for what they did, and they were so passionate about making sure there was good ice and everything else. So I think that pride was really there, and there was lots of, like I said, lots of great volunteers who kind of built that pride for us. And having a chance to wear the Blades jacket or the Blades jersey with the red pants, and it was just a very cool thing to be part of. And like I said, we've had some great rivalries over the years with the Caps and the old Avalon Capitals, and now the Celtics and CBS, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. And I'm sure some people may be listening to this now that played against me and kind of chuckling to themselves listening to this conversation, but there was a very cool level of respect among all the teams.
Absolutely. And
certainly you wanted to beat the other teams, but there was a cool respect, and every association had that community feel to it, which still does exist to some extent. But there's different minor hockey associations out there now. There's different leagues, so it's changed a little bit. But I think the pride you had playing for your minor hockey association as a young person when we were going through was something that you always really kind of just, put your hands on and grasped onto it. And it was a special thing. And like I say, for us now, there's a bunch of us that kind of stay in touch over the years that were minor hockey teammates and friends. And that the Blades conversations always come up.
Yeah.
It's kind of connected us in a special way over the years, and something that will connect us for a long time to come.
No, for sure it will. And even I know the high school scene there for hockey has also been great. I think in my day, I think O'Donnell might have been the best of the bunch. If it wasn't for Gonzaga, I think might have been. I remember Bishop's. I'm talking as if I was on the team. I was the third goalie on the team, which was a nice.
You were still there, Ballard. You got the job.
No, I was not. No, I absolutely was not. They never even invited me to practice. Not even those 6 a.m. ones where the regular guys were dreading it. But I do remember. I mean, there was obviously that same sense of pride and that same sense of respect for themselves and their opponents, even from the high school programs that have obviously seen some success beyond the minor system. I mean, Mount Pearl is and if you look even back, wasn't it last year that Hometown Hockey featured Mount Pearl?
Yeah.
If it wasn't last year, it was in recent enough memory. Yeah. So people are very quick to recognize that there is an X factor. There's something extra about the wonderful city.
Yeah, we had Hometown Hockey last year, which was outstanding, and with Ron McLean and Tara Sloan and the whole Hometown Hockey team were just tremendous.
Yeah,
absolutely tremendous people to deal with, and we were very proud to be part of that. They're coming back again now this year to St. John's. It's going to be another big celebration of the game. So they recognize, and to their credit, traveling through our province, and they've been all over the province, which has been awesome throughout the country. It's a very neat concept, and it's something that they bring a true celebration of the game every time. And then, kind of touching on the high schools in Mount Pearl, but you're right. Like, there's been a great rivalry between O'Donnell and then even before that, Mary Queen of the World used to be the high school, right?
That's right.
And then Mount Pearl Central High, I think it was at the time, and now it's Mount Pearl Senior High. Yeah. So it goes way back, but there's always been a great rivalry there. And, we were all playing together on our Blades teams in the Minor Hockey Association. So
pitted against one another, little friendly competition.
Yeah, you had the Catholics against the guys across the street, and and it was a lot of fun, and it was a rivalry for sure. You wanted to win the game. And, it's kind of gone back and forth over the years. I think O'Donnell, maybe in the last number of years, has kind of had a bit of an edge. Yeah. But that being said, there's been some great Husky teams as well, and some great players go through there. And then, so obviously with us being across the street from each other, there was certainly a rivalry. But then you play all the teams in St. John's, too. You mentioned Gonzaga are always great rivals. And, I remember the years I played 3 years, and then Queenie was always a really big rival up in CBS, and Beaconsfield certainly was a big one too. But it's just some great memories, and you remember the scores of some of the games, but you remember just the friendships, the relationships that you built. And there's guys now that it's funny, you do some hockey schools and you do some coaching, and there's guys I'm doing some of that stuff with that we played against on those teams. And every now and again you chuckle about it, give a jab to the other guy, but
for sure.
There's some great memories of it. But it all comes down to whether it's the community piece of the city of Mount Pearl, or the community piece of being O'Donnell or Mount Pearl Senior High. It's a special piece, and like I say, I think it's a city, and it's one of the 3 cities in the province, but there's still that small town feel to it, which is something that's always been there in Mount Pearl.
And it's not just hockey, too. I know there's a great baseball scene in Mount Pearl. I know you could speak to that. Just Mount Pearl, I just feel like since I even grew up a St. John's boy, but a West Ender, close to Mount Pearl.
Yeah, it's close, yeah.
Not close enough, I guess. No, but there was always... I've really seen Mount Pearl, I feel like, flourish over the last few years in its overall offerings as a sporting community. And I think at the root of that is definitely that sense of community and sense of pride.
Yeah, you think about, when they built the glacier, and then they built it originally just a 1 ice pad, then they built a 2nd ice pad, right? The old tin can, the track and field, which was state of the art when that was first built. Yeah. And it's still, if not the best one in the province, certainly among the best. They built some, the senior baseball field, and they've done some upgrades to minor baseball fields, and just soccer fields, like the turf soccer fields they have. Like they've taken a real emphasis in terms of youth sport and recreation, and whether it's youth, and then as you go into adulthood, there are opportunities, and that's something that full credit to the councils over the years, and to the minor hockey volunteers over the years, and all the sporting volunteers that have been a part of it. Like, there's been a real passion for it, and they've recognized early in their, council life or whatever it might be, that youth was a big part of that. And even going back to the Mount Pearl Focus on Youth Awards, they celebrate youth every year. And so the city has always been a big part of that. They've celebrated that. And then I think through our hockey and then through our other sports, it really has been something to rally around, at different times throughout all of our lives. And I say my 2 kids are going through the Mount Pearl system now, and
that's right.
I think I might have said this on the year before, but as corny as it sounds, like for me to come back and have my 2 kids going through the Mount Pearl system was something that was special to me, because it meant so much to me as a kid growing up. And now, like, sitting in the stands or working on the bench with one of my kids playing, it's awesome. And there's, like I said, there's still some of the great faces that we had back 40 years ago who are still helping out in some way and helping celebrate the game, helping grow it. So it's a very cool thing, and like I say, I know we're kind of maybe waving the old Mount Pearl flag here,
but that's part of
Growlerville, right?
No, exactly.
And we're gonna do this throughout. But like I say, obviously it's a special place to me growing up, special place to me currently, and obviously a real strong connection to the whole city of Mount Pearl.
We're waxing poetic about the city of Mount Pearl in this week's Growlerville. Certainly an immense sense of pride to those playing hockey in that great community in Mount Pearl. Trevor Murphy, Vice President of Hockey Operations, Senior Vice President, I got to get the senior in there, Senior Vice President of Hockey Operations and alternate governor for your Newfoundland Growlers. Thank you, sir, as always, for your time. I know, especially this time of year, you're a very busy man, so we do much appreciate that.
Always a pleasure, Chris.
And that's going to do it here for this week's Growlers Nation Podcast. So on behalf of Trevor and our earlier special guest, Giorgio Estephan, thank you all so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, make sure to let us know in the Growlers Nation Facebook group, or like, comment, and subscribe wherever you found this podcast. I'm Chris Ballard. Thank you so much again for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Growlers Nation Podcast with Chris Ballard. Follow the Growlers all season long on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NL Growlers. Listen live to all 72 Growlers games on Mixlr, mixlr.com/NL Growlers.